Brief pause.
So, you probably remember the break-even point from your first business class, right? It's that magic number where your costs and revenue are perfectly balanced. The formula seems so simple. But here's the thing, that neat little formula, it totally falls apart in the real world. Why? Because almost nobody sells just one thing. Today, we're going to pick up the pieces, build it back better, and figure out how you can find your actual break-even point when you're juggling multiple products.
Here's what we've got on tap. First up, we're going to totally bust that one product myth. Then, I'll show you this really cool solution called the basket of goods. After that, we'll get our hands dirty and crunch the numbers with a super straightforward 3-step method. We'll even check out some fascinating case studies. And then, this is the best part, we'll see how to turn this whole accounting exercise into a killer strategy for your business.
Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, the one product myth. And really, this is the whole reason we're here. It's the core problem we need to get our heads around. I mean, seriously, think about it. Does your business sell just one thing? Of course not. A coffee shop has lattes, espressos, scones. A manufacturing company might have dozens of different models. So if your business is that complex, why on earth are we trying to use a formula built for a company that sells one single widget? It just doesn't work. It can't possibly give you the right answer. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Every single product you sell has its own financial fingerprint. It's got a different price, different cost to make it, and that means it kicks in a different amount of profit. A high-end kayak, for example, contributes way more to your bottom line than a budget one. So the big takeaway here is that your break-even point isn't some static number you can just pin on a wall. Nope, it's a moving target, and it shifts every single time the mix of what you sell changes. Okay, so how in the world do we deal with this moving target? Well, there's a really brilliant and elegant solution. It's a concept that takes all of this mess and makes it simple. We call it the basket of goods, or if you want to get technical, a composite unit. But before we can get to the basket, we have to talk about the ingredients, and that's your sales mix. Think of it like a recipe for your revenue. It's just the proportion of what you typically sell. You know, maybe for every 10 items that go out the door, 5 are product A, 3 are product B, and 2 are product C. That 5 to 3 to 2 ratio, that's your sales mix. And that recipe is what lets us build our composite unit. So just imagine you take that recipe, 5 of A, 3 of B, 2 of C, and you bundle them all together into one virtual shopping cart. That cart is your composite unit. The magic here is that it lets us pretend your super complex multi-product business sells just one single thing, this perfectly proportioned basket. This fruit basket analogy makes it super clear. Look, an apple has its own profit margin or contribution margin. An orange has a different one, a banana, another one. But if we know our sales mix is, say, 5 apples for every 3 oranges, 2 bananas, and 1 pear, we can bundle them up. We just do the math, multiply the units of each fruit by its profit, and bam, we get a total contribution margin for the entire basket. In this case, it's $3.50. Now, every time we sell one of these imaginary baskets, we know we've made $3.50 to help cover our rent, salaries, all that fixed stuff. This is the key that unlocks the whole thing. All right, you with me? Now that we've got the big idea down, let's get practical. Let's walk through the actual step-by-step method to find your true break-even point. And honestly, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, we figure out the average profit we make from one of our baskets. The fancy term for this is the weighted average contribution margin per unit, or let's just call it WACMU. It's a lot easier. Second, we use that WACMU number to see how many baskets we need to sell to cover all our fixed costs. And third, the final step, we just unpack those baskets to see how many individual products we actually need to sell. Simple, right? Okay, enough theory. Let's use a real-world example. This is West Brothers Siding. They've got 3 product types: builder grade, architectural, and restoration. You can see each one has a different margin, and most importantly, they sell them in a 5 to 3 to 2 ratio. That's their basket. So after we do the math, multiplying each product's margin by its number in the mix and adding it all up, we get this magic number right here, $30.75. That's their WACMU. That's the total profit they make on one basket of siding, which contains 10 total units. Every time they sell that specific mix, they've earned $30.75 to put towards their fixed costs. Okay, now we're getting to the good part. Let's say their fixed costs, rent, insurance, salaries, are $145,000 for the year. Well, if we know each basket kicks in $30.75 to help pay for that, the calculation is super simple. We just divide the big cost number by the profit per basket number, and we got $4,716.
That's it. That's the number of composite baskets they need to sell to hit their break-even point. But of course, a contractor doesn't walk in and say, "Give me 1 basket of siding, please." So for our final step, we have to translate that number back into reality. We take those 4,716 baskets and unpack them using that original 5-3-2 sales mix ratio. And look at that. Now they have real, actionable sales goals. They know they need to sell over 23,000 units of builder grade, about 14,000 of architectural, and over 9,000 of restoration. Now that's a number you can build a sales plan around.
And what's so cool about this is that it works for any business with more than one product. Let's fire off a couple more examples just to show you how flexible this tool really is.
And hey, sometimes to make a point, you gotta have a little fun with it. As one CFO joked, when your case study involves fairy tale pigs building houses, you just kind of have to lean into it.
So check out the Three Pigs Construction Company. They build straw, stick, and brick houses. And look at the massive difference in the contribution margin for each. A brick house is way more profitable, but they sell more of the cheaper ones. So we do the same thing. We weight each margin by its sales mix percentage. Add them all up, and we get a WASMU of $18,400. If their fixed costs are, say, $552,000, they only need to sell 30 bundles of these houses to break even.
Here's another quick one. Kayaks for Fun, they've got a high-profit river model and a lower-profit sea model. Their combined WACMU is $300. But what's really insightful here is to see where that comes from. The river model has a big margin, and it's 60% of their sales, so it contributes a whopping $240 of that $300 average. The sea model? Only $60. That tells you a lot about what's really driving their business. And that insight right there is the perfect bridge to our final section. Because this whole thing isn't just about finding a number for your accountant. It's about using that knowledge to make smarter, more profitable, strategic decisions. This is where the rubber really meets the road. It all boils down to this. If your sales team can push more of your high-margin products, your WACMU, that average profit per basket, goes up. And what does that mean? It means your break-even point goes down. You start making money sooner with fewer overall sales. But, and this is a big but, the opposite is also true. If your sales mix accidentally shifts toward your cheaper, lower-margin stuff, you're suddenly going to have to sell a lot more just to cover your costs. You're running faster just to stay in the same place. And this chart is a perfect illustration of how big a deal this is. Let's say with a good, favorable sales mix, a company breaks even at $500,000 in sales. But if their mix shifts and customers start buying more of the low-profit items, look what happens. Their break-even point shoots up to nearly $587,000. They have to generate an extra $87,000 in revenue just to get back to zero. That is a huge, huge difference. And we can take this one step further to make it even more powerful. Because sometimes the thing holding you back isn't sales. It's a bottleneck inside your own company. Maybe you only have so many machine hours in a day, or not enough skilled technicians. When that happens, the game changes. The smartest strategy isn't just to sell the product with the highest profit margin. No, it's to sell the product that gives you the most profit per machine hour or per technician hour. You focus your efforts on whatever uses that scarce resource most efficiently. Now that's next level strategy. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. If you're ever looking at your business and thinking, man, our sales numbers are great, but where's the profit? It might not be your pricing. It might not even be your costs. The real problem, the silent profit killer, could be hiding right in plain sight, your sales mix. Once you understand this concept of the composite unit, you have a brand new lens to see what's actually driving your business. So the question to ask isn't just, are we selling enough? It's, are we selling enough of the right stuff?